Hello, my name's Jim Moran, and thanks very much for joining us for ISO 45001 Clause 6 Planning. You can reach me at jim@simplifyiso.com or over here on our website, simplifyiso.com, with this handy contact button. This clause is almost identical to the clause 6s in ISO 14001 and ISO 9001 in that you're looking for risk management and opportunity identification. You're setting goals and creating action plans for the reaching of the goals. So it isn't just risk and opportunities, it also includes hazards and includes legal requirements to boot. You'll notice that clause 6 is over here on the top with leadership in the center, and it definitely fits into the plan, part of the Plan, Do, Check, Act model. The Simplify ISO platform has a form built into it to help you capture risks and opportunities. You'll see here there are a number of different categories. You can make up your own. It's fully customizable, and it will give you a great tool to help you review how well you're doing capturing risks, opportunities, hazards, and so on. Risks, the effect of uncertainty. Your organization will develop a way to assess risks. It'll be unique to you. I would definitely avoid the temptation to buy a risk assessment toolkit or something like that. Just look at the workflow, talk to your workers. You learned in Clause 5 about the requirement for worker participation. People who are doing the work in your organization can definitely give you the best advice about what the risks are. You can mitigate risks with training. You can help reduce the negative effect of risks by training people how to avoid being injured in view of the risks that exist in the general workday. Another really important aspect of risk is to not just simply say, well, if they get injured, it won't be that bad, but to realize that even an injury that gets healed might have some longer term effects. So we need to protect our workers not just for today, but for the long term as well. And of course, different categories of risk are definitely worth considering. The ways of assessing risk from stress will be different from the methodology you use to assess the risk from chemical exposure. So make sure you tailor your risk assessment to the risks that are present and possible risks that might occur through things like change, through legal requirement changes, through changes the way you do business, through equipment changes and workflow changes. All the standards put the word risk and opportunity together, and opportunities are sometimes hard to define or sometimes hard to imagine identifying. So when you find a risk and find a way to mitigate it, you're going to be making your workers safer. You'll be reducing your compensation insurance premiums. You'll be adding life to your workforce. You'll be adding a positive attitude to your workforce, which you just simply cannot put a price on. It's so valuable. You can use technology. You can find ways to improve the attitude, the health and safety culture in your organization. These are all ways to improve things, and they don't always all have to cost money. You can enhance the incident investigation process, for example, and find ways to make workers more confident, less fearful, more collaborative when you're trying to find out the cause of an incident and discover a corrective action to prevent recurrence. And if you're not getting the information that you need from your own organization, you can always look to similar businesses or even different organizations to get some novel ideas on how to improve the health and safety culture at your organization. Hazards are a whole class in themselves. You'll see lots of information in the annex, and you'll see more information in ISO 45002 as well. So we can find hazards in lots of areas. There are work-related sources for hazards. These would be things like WMIS has identified workplace hazardous material information system. There can be things your employees have to use to maybe clean something, solvents. Could be the CFCs. They may be refurbishing an older building that has a very old refrigeration system in it that has nasty stuff inside. There are work-related situations like working from heights, slippery floors, going up stairs without the proper guardrails on the stairs. So situations can be a source. Not only that, circumstances in the workplace can be a source of risk and a source of hazards. It's very important then to develop kind of a structured approach or a framework, something that will give you confidence that you've identified the hazards that are important. And coincidentally, if you have an ISO 14001 program in place, often hazards are environmental aspects, especially if they're chemical hazards, water-related hazards, solvent, paints, any kinds of things that can harm the environment can also usually harm humans. The hazard identification needs to be continual, and it needs to be vibrant. And you need to look at physical aspects, look at the work environment. Hazard identification is critical. And the reason it's critical is because we can take care of the short-term consequences, but we're not always aware of the long-term consequences. You remember back in the 70s, the rise of lung-related instances from people working with asbestos in the 50s and 60s. So it's important, even from a back injury point of view, leg injuries and so on, that the short-term fix may still end up with long-term complications. Don't forget about legal and other. There will be local bylaws for in your particular case. There will be national programs for health and safety. There'll be provincial or state bylaws, regulations based on the laws that have been built for health and safety. And again, it isn't just there to be a pain, it's there to protect your workers. So the next thing we see in this section is the requirement to set some health and safety objectives. You can take measurements, you can set goals, and the ultimate goal is to improve your health and safety performance. As I mentioned, in their annex in 45,001, clauses A 6.1 to A 6.2.2 have some great ideas to get your thinking going, and you'll also see some very good information in ISO 45002 clauses 6.1 and 6.2. Feel free to drop over here to our website and we could perhaps show you how our platform can help you manage health and safety activities, manage training related to it, manage assessments, internal audits, non-conformances, and so on. And would give you a lot more value out of being certified and certainly would help. On this page, you can schedule a demo right here, and by all means, read through some of our blog posts on other related topics. Thanks very much for having a look, and I hope you can join us next time for Clause 7, Support. Bye for now.